Once the animal is restrained, you're ready to perform your examination. So ideally, put a glove on your hand and then apply some lube to your fingers. And if you've got an assistant to hold the tail, that's great. And you're just going to make a cup shape with your hand, bring your fingers together and introduce your hand into the cow and just have a little feel around and try and work out what you can feel. If the cervix is open and the cow is properly calving, then you should be able to put your hand in and feel the calf straight away. If you can't feel the calf or it feels funny in any way, you probably want to phone the vet. In this calf, I can feel a head and two front legs, so I know it's in an anterior or frontways presentation. And I can feel the relationship between the pelvic bone and the head and the shoulders, which is really important when it comes to assessing if there's space to extract the calf. If your initial examination didn't reveal a head and front legs, you need to investigate further. If you put your hand in and you feel legs, but you don't find a head, have a look for a tail, because this may well be a backwards presentation. Another clue you've got a backwards presentation if you don't happen to find the tail is that you're going to see the bottom aspect of the hoof sticking out from the cow. So once you've established that you've got a head and two legs, it's good practice just to give the calf a bit of manual pull towards you. So if you get a hand on each of the legs and just pull the calf towards the vulva, if there's plenty space, the calf will advance towards you. The next stage is to apply the leg ropes. And to set them up, if you've got a rope that's got a loop at the end, you want to thread the end of your rope through. And you want to get the rope onto the end of your fingers, and you're going to introduce it into the vulva. You then want to spread your fingers and introduce the rope over the end of the calf's feet, and you want to put it above the second knuckle joint. So this is the first knuckle and this is the second knuckle, and you want to tighten it down and make sure it's coming from the bottom of the foot. And then you would repeat that on the other leg. Once you've applied the leg ropes, you might want to consider putting a head rope on the calf, which can help you if things are a little bit tight. If you've got a rope on the head, it can help guide the head into the birth canal. To do this, I would advise that you use the rope or the noose in between your fingers, and you're then going to introduce it into the vulva and place the rope over the calf's head, right over the crown of the head. Just leave your rope in place with plenty of slack, and then you're going to move one rope to the side and use the ear to hook the rope behind the ear, and repeat on the other side. Just ease the rope over with your fingers and then hook the ear around to get your rope on the far side of the ear. And then if you just pull on the two ends, that will allow you to manipulate the head into the pelvis. Once the ropes have been applied, you're then ready to apply traction to the cow. But before you do so, you have to move her out of the head yoke or the crush, because what often happens when she applies traction is the animal goes down. And if she goes down within a crush or within a head yoke, she can end up in a really awkward position, or worst case scenario, she can actually strangle herself. When you're going to calve a cow, you're more than likely going to put a halter on the cow, so it's important that you know the orientation of your halter before you put it on. To work that out, find the long end of the halter, which is going through a loop. Extend that down, that's going to go underneath the chin of the cow. You'll find another loop, which is going to go over the nose of the cow, so pull that down. And what you're going to be left with is what goes over the ears. When you're putting the halter on, the first step is to put your largest part of the rope over the ears, and the end that's attached to the long end goes underneath the chin, and then this last loop goes over the bridge of the nose, and then you tighten it down at the bottom left corner of the cow, and you're ready to lead from there. So what you should do, you're just going to reverse the cow out of the yoke, the head yoke or the crush, and secure the cow to the side of the pen, somewhere where there's plenty space for her to go down, there's plenty space for you to get out of the way, and importantly, you want to leave enough length on the rope so that there's space for her to physically lie down. When you're attaching the cow to the side of the pen or the barrier, make sure you always tie a slip knot. To tie the slip knot, if you wrap the free end round the end attached to the cow and make a loop, then with the free end, make another loop which you pass through the loop you originally made, tighten it down and tighten it onto your bar, and then thread your free end down through your loop, so if the cow pulls on it, it's not going to release. And then to use the quick release mechanism, just pull on your free end and the cow will be released. It's now time to start traction, and initially it's a good idea, as we did before, just give this a little pull with your own strength, and if the calf comes towards you, as it is here, then that's a sign that there's enough space. At this point, you need to assess whether you've got enough space to extract the calf, and you don't need to do a caesarean. In order to do this, you put your hand in and you want to see how much space there is over the top of the head. So can your hand fit over the crown of the head? You want to put your hand down the side of the shoulder and see how much space there is between the shoulder and the bone of the pelvis. It's really important. And you want to do that on the other side as well. And if you've got plenty room and your hand can slide up the side, then that's an indication that there's enough space. Another indicator that there might not be enough room is if you notice the front legs crossing over. As the shoulder comes into the pelvis, if there's not enough space, you'll see the legs crossing over each other. In addition, you might detect swelling in the nose or the tongue of the calf if it's been under a lot of pressure and it's too tight. And lastly, the cow might show signs of distress and discomfort if you apply manual traction and it's sore and painful for her, which is an additional sign that things are too tight. And if you get any of those things, you should definitely phone your vet. You can also spend some time just stretching the vulva here so that it loosens off any more. This is particularly important in heifers. So you're going to get your calving aid. You place the calving aid underneath the cow's vulva, and you're going to attach the ropes to the hooks of the calving aid. This calving aid has got separate hooks for each of the ropes and a rope for the head. And if you're struggling to get the ropes onto the hooks, if you just lift the calving aid up, that can help you attach the ropes. And ideally, if you have someone else holding the end of the calving aid, it can make things a bit easier for you. So everything's in place and we're ready for traction. And when you're applying traction with the calving aid, you should always try and apply traction when the cow contracts. So every time the cow contracts, the blood supply of the calf is going to be cut off. So we want to do our traction at the same time so that the calf gets a break in between our traction and the cow's contractions. So we apply traction. And we progress to this point when the nose is just out of the vulva. That's what we call the point of no return. And this is your last opportunity to get your hand in and decide whether you've got enough space or not. So can you fit your hand over the shoulders, round the top of the head, and if so, you can proceed with traction. And what you can do is, if you just apply a bit of downward pressure with the calving aid, and you can see how the head starts to stretch the vulva. Then you're going to go back to 90 degrees, apply more traction. Always working with the cow, so when the cow contracts, we apply our traction. And then we're going to go down and stretch the head out again. Back up. And do a little bit of a curve. And in the natural calving, this, if a cow's standing up, the cow's going to come out like this. The calf's going to come out in a downward orientation. Downward. And towards the end, if you've got two people, ideally somebody is on the end of the jack and the other person can catch the calf. Last downward pressure, and that's the calf delivered.